Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an episode of Fight Night Picks. I am your host, Makai. Today we will be recapping UFC Vegas 103, Manel Kape versus Asu Almabayev. We're going to break down the card, go over the picks, and let's get right into it. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be sure to bring you guys some more content. Starting off the card, we had Charles Johnson taking on Ramazan Tamirov. Tamirov won the unanimous decision. I'll be honest, Charles Johnson looked a little hesitant. First and second round, he didn't want to engage as much. Tamirov was swinging a lot of hooks, a lot of spinning kicks, spinning attacks. He was the aggressor for most of the fight. He kept Johnson at a range that he wasn't able to utilize his boxing. Johnson wasn't aggressive as he usually is up until the third round when he finally found his range. Tamirov seemed to be landing, the harder shots, cleaner shots. He just kept Johnson out of rhythm the entire fight. That's the majority what it was. He won the first two rounds clear. Johnson came on in the third round, but it just wasn't enough. I thought he would be able to keep him at bay. Tamirov is really short. He's 5'4", but Johnson outstruck him. He just didn't have enough sting to keep him away, honestly. Tamirov did land a takedown. He didn't do, much with it. Johnson landed a takedown in the third round. Landed a few shots, but again, he didn't do anything significant enough to win more than one round the entire fight. Tamirov was more aggressive, more powerful, and he controlled the fight, honestly. He had Johnson along the cage the entire first two rounds, and that was the story of the fight. Tamirov 2-1, clean. Now, we did have two fights canceled. Luana Carolina versus Montana Del Rosa. Fight was canceled because Carolina couldn't make the weight. I think she came in like 3 pounds over or something like that. So that fight was canceled. And we had the Douglas Silva de Andrade versus John Castaneda fight canceled. De Andrade wasn't medically cleared, so those two fights were off the card. So it was 10 fights on the card total. Moving on, we had J.J. Aldrich taking on Andrea Lee. Clear unanimous decision. J.J. was utilizing her boxing, mixed it up a little bit, outstruck Andrea. From the first round, it looked like Andrea did not know what to do. She's looking to her corner, trying to get instructions throughout the fight. JJ was just picking her apart, using her boxing. She kept Andrea at bay. She couldn't really engage in much. JJ landed the cleaner shots, got a couple takedowns. 30-27. I think Andrea Lee will be out of the UFC come Tuesday, the latest. Moving on, we got Danny Silva taking on Lucas Almeida. This fight went pretty much how I expected. Danny utilized his pressure, utilized boxing, used some grappling, a little bit of takedowns, mixed it up with Lucas, whereas Lucas wanted to stay in a kickboxing range all fight. Danny was up in his grill, doing some dirty work in the clinch, putting his, he was mixing up his combinations, 3, 4, 5 punch combinations sometimes, so that Lucas wouldn't, time the counter. And that's really what he's looking for the entire fight, 1 to 2 shots and the counter. Danny won the first two rounds pretty easily in my eyes. Third round is when Lucas decided to pick up the output. He was landing more combinations. He started to extend his combinations, whereas before he was just throwing, 2 to 3 shots max. Landed a couple of clean strikes. Danny wasn't as aggressive as he was the entire fight in that third round. So I gave Lucas Almeida the third round pretty clear. Danny Silva ends up winning split decision. And it was a pretty solid fight. Moving on, we had Chepe Mariscal taking on Ricardo Ramos. Chepe, all gas, no brakes. Started the fight, pressure, controlling the space, controlling the pace. He was on him like white on rice, man. He did not give Ricardo any room to breathe. He had, I want to say Chepe took him down in the first round, and they started grappling. It looked like Ramos had him in a heel hook, but Chepe got out of it. They were both getting each other in the heel hooks. They both got out of it. They got back to their feet, and Chepe was back on the pressure. Round 2, more of the same, pressuring him, putting him up against the cage, not letting Ricardo breathe. Ramos did land a nasty spinning elbow in the second round. It didn't hurt Chepe, but it was pretty clean. It was a nice shot. At the end of the second round, Chepe was getting the better of him. I thought he was going to get him out of there. But Ricardo ended up surviving. Third round, same thing. 30-27, Chepe Mariscal. I do want to see Chepe get a ranked opponent. If he doesn't get a ranked opponent, then I would like to see... Let's do like Chepe versus Nate Landwehr, or like Chepe versus Sadiq Youssef. I think that makes for... I think those are two really good fights. I like Chepe, man. He's gritty. He's definitely a prospect to watch. I like him. Moving on to the heavyweights, we had Austin Lane taking on Mario Pinto. This was the heavyweight showcase that I thought it was going to be. First round was very interesting, though. Austin Lane came out ready to fight. Definitely was more aggressive. I think he gained some confidence, from that fight against Robelis in Spain. Being able to, take him down and stand with, a guy of that striking power, basically. Definitely gave him confidence heading into this fight. So he came out, he was throwing them things. He landed a knockdown in the first round. Pinto came back, landed a nasty overhand right that stumbled Lane for a second. Lane was landing some very good some leg kicks. He was doing some work in the clinch. But Pinto seemed to be, aware of everything that Lane was doing. He didn't look shook from it. Second round, it started off the same. Lane was being very aggressive. They were trading. They get a break, and then Mario just finds the shot. He throws a left hook, and then overhand right, and all you know is Austin Lane is looking up at the lights. It was nasty. Nasty heavyweight knockout, round 2. Pinto has power in both of his hands, man. So, they ran the replay from his fight on the Dana White Contender Series where he landed the left hook knockout. This time, he throws the left hook, overhand right. It was over for Austin Lane. That was a nasty knockout. Pinto is definitely a prospect that the heavyweight division needs. And I'll be interested to see who they match him up with next. Opening up the main card, we had Danny Left Hand the God Barlow taking on Sam Patterson. Man, I don't know what's going on in 2025, but the undefeated fighters are scarce. I think they said it's like 12 out of 20 undefeated fighters have lost, their undefeated record this year. So, round 1 starts. They're mixing it up on feet. Danny landed a nasty straight left hand. Sam ate it pretty well, but like I was stating in the preview, Sam stands really tall and his chin is up. He got caught pretty clean. He ate it though. They both kept their hands pretty low. They weren't. I don't know. It didn't seem like they were concerned with was coming back at them, but I gotta say Sam's striking looked pretty good. He landed a counter right. Barlow came in like crashing in. Counter right. Sam throws it, and Barlow was wobbly. Stumbled back. Then Sam pressed forward, landed like a straight right, sat Barlow down, and he was on top of him, just landing the ground and pound. Knockout. It was a very good performance for Sam Patterson. I did not expect him to get a knockout. I thought, his path to victory was utilizing the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, but he got a knockout. It was pretty impressive, pretty shocking as well. Even the commentator said it too. Very impressive with Sam Patterson. He definitely, made his name known at the 170 division, and we'll see who he gets next. The next fight, we had Hyder Emil taking on William Gomis. Hyder Emil, undefeated, remains. I guess he's, one of the anomalies. So that 12 for 20, he's not part of the 12, man. Round one, Emil, the pace was crazy. He came out, he was really just walking Gomis down. He's committed to pushing him up against the cage, landing some shots on the inside. He wasn't phased as to what Gomis was throwing back at him. I think he said, I'm not sure if he said it in his interview or if he was talking to somebody on the side, but he was like, I feel like I'm a pit bull hunting down like a poodle. I thought that was pretty funny, but that's exactly what it looked like. Hyder Emil, his head is pretty big too for him to be a featherweight. His head is he looks like those statue rocks, like the Powhatan necklace that Jamal Hill wore when they fought. But yeah, his head is huge, so it was going to take a lot for Gomis to get him out of there if he wanted to. But round one, like I said, Emil was walking him down, and then Gomis landed this nasty spinning elbow that dropped him. And then after that, he was just spamming him. It was like, I think he threw like four or five in a row. Late in the round, he threw like a knee up the middle, hurt him to the body, and then they rung the bell, and it looked like Emil was tired, like he was ready to give up. Second round starts, and it was like the same pace. Emil was walking through everything. Gomis was using a lot more spinning attacks. He was throwing spinning kicks to the body. Those were excellent. He was going back to the elbow like he did in the first round. They were doing some good work in the clinch, but it was pretty much more of the same from the first round. Round three, same thing. Emil was walking him down. He landed a takedown. He got some shots off. Didn't do too much with it, but he was more aggressive, walking Gomis down the entire fight, and that's exactly how you're supposed to fight a striker who wants to stay on the outside. You just got to get up, get dirty with them, not give them the room to breathe, no space, and just hunt them. That was a very good performance from Hyder Emil. Got the split decision. It was a hell of a fight, but you got to give it to the person who's enforcing the fight, who's taking control of the octagon, who's being aggressive. And Gomis was on his back foot the entire fight. So Hyder Emil, impressive victory, split decision. Can't wait to see what he's up next. Moving on to the lightweight bout with Esteban Ribovics taking on Nasrat Haqparast. This was a great fight. Fight of the night, definitely. I think the difference in this fight was Nasrat attacking the body. Esteban was headhunting the entire fight. He landed his rear high kick. He was throwing that a lot to the body. If he would have to the head. If he would have mixed it up and threw it to the body more, I think that would have opened up, a lot more for him. Nasrat was landing from the first round on. He was landing his left hand clean. He was throwing the teep to the liver clean. He controlled majority of the exchanges. Round 1 and 2 were close, but I definitely gave it to Nasrat. Round 3, Haqparast mixed it up, landed a takedown. Didn't do much with it, but the fact that he decided, switch up the pace, switch up the fight, whereas where they were standing, the entire fight, that was a smart decision on him. He didn't do much damage with it, but when they got up, Esteban landed a nasty knee up the middle, and then from that point forward, Esteban was, he had a higher output, landing the cleaner strikes, and I think that was the cleanest round for him that you could definitively give to him. It was like 5 seconds before the bell, he landed a nasty head kick. Haqparast was wobbled. I think if you gave him 10 more seconds, he probably would have finished the fight. So that was interesting too. But yeah, he definitely won the third round clean. First 2 rounds, I've seen a lot of discourse about who won this fight, but on the rewatch, I give it to Nasrat. Pretty clean. 1 and 2. Third round is where he got hurt, and Esteban was outlanding him. So pretty clean 2-1 victory. It was a split decision. But yeah, I had Nasrat 2-1. It was a really good fight of the night for sure. Moving on to the co-main event, we had Cody Brundage taking on Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez. I guess it lived up to the co-main event spotlight. But we did have some controversy. Mark Smith, that was a little questionable. So the first round, they're trading shots, and then Marquez lands a huge right hand, knocks Cody's mouthpiece out, and he almost finishes the fight. He puts Cody in like a choke, standing guillotine, puts him up against the cage. He decides to let go of the choke, and they get back a little bit to space. Cody lands his own shot, knocks Julian's mouthpiece out, and they're still trading. And there's like a nanosecond in between a break and Cody throwing his next shot, and Mark Smith stops the fight. I understand you have to wait for a break in the action to stop the fight to give a fighter their mouthpiece, but I don't think there was enough time to stop the fight. That could have, I think it definitely swayed, the momentum in the fight. So he stops the fight, gives them both their mouthpieces back. And off the break, Cody lands a nasty uppercut, hurts Julian, drops him, and then ground and pound for the finish. Julian was working his way back up to his feet, but I guess when he fell down a little bit, and Mark Smith waved it off. Interesting decision from the ref to stop the fight right there. I think you would have had to give it, a little bit more time. But I think Cody secured another contract. He's never been that aggressive in his previous fights. And I guess it was, the fact that he realized Julian had been knocked out 3 straight times. So he was like, I might as well make it the 4th. And he did. But for Julian, he was entertaining, but I'm pretty sure he's getting his walking papers. So, hell of a co-main event. Lived up to the name. In the main event, we had Manel Kape taking on Asu Almabayev. 2 main events in a row where we got another eye poke, man. But we'll get there when we get there. Manel Kape looked great from the beginning of the fight. He controlled the distance, controlled the pace. He controlled the octagon for the entire fight. He landed the cleaner, more powerful strikes. His takedown defense held up. He was picking Asu apart the entire fight. Second round, there was an eye poke. Asu complained about it. The ref did put a brief stop to the fight, reviewed it, and he called it a punch. If you look at the replay again, you can see, Kape scraped his eye a little bit. So he should have been awarded a little bit more time to recover from that, but it was towards the end of the round. They waved it off, continued the fight, and then they went to the 3rd round. Now, the 3rd round, it was a clear, definitive eye poke. It wasn't as bad as, last week's with Henry and Song Yadong, but he definitely gripped his entire eye socket. But I think that definitely led into the finish. Asu was running away. He kind of looked like Chelsea Chandler. I'll put up the picture so you guys could laugh at it with me. When I saw that, I was like, man. But yeah, Kape puts him up against the cage, starts working the body, and gets him out of there, TKO. I think Kape should be next for the title after the Kai Kara-France fight is booked. I would let him weigh in as the backup, just in case anything happens. But I do think he had a point in his pre-fight interview where he was saying that the flyweight division isn't entertaining enough. And I think Kape is somebody that could bring some entertainment value, from him, his theatrics with Izzy, and then, the things that he said after one of his fights on the mic that you shouldn't say. But he's very entertaining, and he shows it in his fights after, another finish. So I think he should be the next title challenger after Kai Kara France. Hopefully we get it by like September, since I think that fight will be happening in like June. But yeah, Kape, Pantoja, Kai Kara France winner. I hope we see it next. So to review the picks, we did all right. 6-4. The 4 losses were Timarov, Sam Patterson with a nasty KO, Hyder Emil, and Nazareth Haqparast. But we did have 2 perfect calls on Mario Pinto and Manel Kape. They both got a finish. So if you follow me on TikTok, I actually put together a lock of the week and a parlay. The lock was Manel Kape by TKO or decision, and the parlay was Danny Barlow, Sam Patterson over 1.5, Chepe Mariscal inside the distance, and Mario Pinto by TKO. Obviously, Chepe didn't get the finish. They almost did, and then Sam Patterson got the first round finish. But the lock of the week cashed, so we're glad with that. So follow me on TikTok. Same handle, Fight Night Picks. We're going to keep the parlays and the lock of the week rolling. Fight of the night call was right with Nazareth Haqparast versus Esteban Ribovics. Hell of a fight. I wouldn't be mad if they give it to Hyder Emil, William Gomis either. That was a hell of a fight. And then performance of the night to Pinto and Manel Kape. I'm glad with that. To score the card, I would give it like a 6 out of 10. It was cool. We got a couple finishes, but I felt like it was a pretty quick card. I think they started the main card later, but the prelims were on earlier, so it was weird. But that did end up giving me enough time to watch the Tank fight. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about that. I thought Tank won by split decision. It was a hell of a fight. We saw Tank take a knee. Everybody was questioning that. But if you read the rules, it does say a fighter can't take a knee if they have, something going on with their vision or something like that. But hell of a fight. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the card, about the Tank fight, whatever you want to discuss. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.